ونسائنا وأولادنا وكل من له حق علينا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. First of all, I wanted to say how happy I am that Azzeddin, Brother Azzeddin is going to help me with the translation for today. I know he had some anxiety before, but now he's getting a strong man, strong Muslim, inshallah, and he is overcoming that fear. He's trusting Allah, depending on Allah, asking Allah for help, and he took the step, and now he is, mashallah, maybe slowly he's going to be one of the scholars in Islam. I mean, inshallah, and then I wanted to apologize for all those who asked me for the time of the Fajr today. First message I received was 5:40 and turned out to be 5:45. So my kids were like, "They were 5 minutes when I have slept, and you woke me up 5 minutes earlier." So I apologize. Wallahi, I received the message 5:40, and then they changed it to 5:45. So it's not my fault. So don't blame me for this mistake, right, Jan? And then, subhanAllah, it's not a big deal, because if you think about it, we did not lose any hours of sleep, because now the timing now is 5:35, 6:04. But if you look at the day from yesterday, it was 6:04. So we did not lose any hours of sleep. It's still the same amount of hours we slept last night. But it's mentally, maybe it's hard to understand, to imagine that you're waking up early, even though we have to try to wake up early for the Qiyam. So today, inshallah, we will continue what we started last week, but I have a question for to reflect on the ayat we heard this morning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Dhariyat. Surah Al-Dhariyat is a beautiful surah Makkiyah. And it is special because it's the only surah in the Quran that Allah mentioned the name of Ar-Razzaq. The only surah that has the name of Allah, Ar-Razzaq, the one who provides, is Surah Al-Dhariyat. And it talks about, a lot of this ayat talk about that your rizq, your sustenance, your provision is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all what you do is just means to get the rizq to you. But at the end of the day, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed to you that will be your rizq for that day or that night is what you're gonna get. Inna Allah huwa ar-razzaqu mateen. ما أريد منهم الرزق وما أريد أن يطعمون ورزقكم في السماء وما توعدون. So the word of rizq came so many times in this surah to emphasize the point that don't get your heart so much preoccupied by the dunya and the means, but trust Allah and depend on Allah, and Allah will provide you the rizq. Subhanallah, and you find people working 2, 3, 4 times of job, 3 kinds of jobs, and they can barely make it. And some people, maybe they are sitting home doing minor things, and they are making millions of dollars. Why? It's with the will of Allah. Whatever we do, there's a proverb, like a statement in Arab, they say, اجري جري الوحوش غير رزقك ما بتحوش, like the Egyptian Akhwana Bimosar, they know this method. That if you run like a beast to get more money, you will not get except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you. So the surah talk about to purify your heart from all this means and be preoccupied and depend and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the beginning of the surah, Allah made an oath. And that oath, He made oath with 4 things. He made oath with the wind that moves and carry with it so many things as it's moving. He made oath with the wind, by the wind. He made oath by the rain. He made oath by the malaika, the angels. And He made oath by the ships that runs in the ocean. And the scholar tried to connect this type of oath, Allah swearing by the wind, by the ships that runs in the ocean, by the rain, by the angels, and the main concept of the surah, which is sustenance or provision. How do we connect those 2 things? What's the connection between that oath from Allah in the beginning of the surah and the concept of a rizq that's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What's the connection? It's a good question, right? And that's the beauty of reflecting on the Quran. Reading the Quran and reading the surah and trying to see how the surah the ayat connect with each other. You understand the question, right? Huh? Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an oath at the beginning of the surah. And he swore by four things. By the wind, and whatever this wind will carry with it. He made an oath by the rain. He made an oath by the ships in the ocean. And he made an oath by the angels. This kind of oath, the scholar said, it's connected to the main concept of the surah, which is provision and sustenance, and what Allah has decreed for you as wealth, as income, as money that you will get. What's the connection between that oath and the concept of that Allah is a Razzaq, that Allah is providing for you, that Allah is the one who will, has decreed what you can get of wealth and income? Yeah.
So they brought up like wind and ships, and I think they did that because the wind kind of like dictates where the ships would be moving,
Okay.
if they can move at all.
Okay.
Then they brought up rain because the rain, it kind of like also controls on how much the farmers can grow in terms of food. And if
Very
there's
close.
not enough rain, then there's gonna be no crops at all. And if it's too much rain, then the crops would all die. And then they brought the angels because like angels like
It's very close, mashallah, very close, yeah, very close to what I want to say. Anyone else? Adam, what do you think? It's too early. Anyone else can connect that? Yes.
The wind carries the clouds, which carry the rain, which basically provides water for the human being as some sort of like a way to provide for the human. The ships are being carried by that specific wind. Everything is connected, and it links back to the fact that Allah is the provider when you think about it from an outside.
Fatah, very, very close. Yes.
It explain وفي السماء رزقكم وما توعدون.
It's emphasized that meaning that وفي السماء رزقكم وما توعدون. Yes. Rahman.
Allah has mentioned the creation that He made for all of us. If you believe in all those four items, I am the one who also provides you sustenance. If you believe in that, don't worry about that.
Barakallah, very close. So what I want to mention here is that do not think that your risk is because of what you have done. But behind the scene, there is so many things that Allah has arranged and Allah has decreed that led at the end for you to get that sustenance. So do not worry about what you are, what you're gonna get. I'll give you an example. If you are a farmer, let's say you are a farmer, and you think that your risk is based on what the tree will bring, the fruit, the whatever, produce whatever vegetable you're gonna get from that tree and from that plants that you have in your farm. Do not think that this is the end product. This is the last step. But before that step, there are so many steps. Start from the wind, carrying the seeds that will plant that seeds in the ground. From that seed, you have the rain. From that rain, you have the wind. You have the ships. You have all these things are working behind the scenes, and you have zero control on all those things. But all what you have control on the last step, the last process, which is to come and to grab that fruit and to grab that produce and put it and pack it and go sell it. But if you think about it, everything of your result, there is so many steps that it's only in the hands of Allah, that most likely you are not aware of, that Allah has arranged and Allah has made it easy and Allah has made it make it happen before it reached to you. So do not think that what you are doing is the result or is the reason of what you are getting. What you are doing is the last step. And there are so many things behind the scene that Allah is in control, that Allah has full control on, that He made it easy so you will get your sustenance at the end of the day. Do you see the connection now? Do you see that connection? That do not believe that what you are doing is the reason for your sustenance, for your risk. But there are so many steps, so many things that Allah has prepared without even you are aware of, until you reach that stage where you are able to get your sustenance. And that applies to every one of us. Like as a physician, if you think it's my career, right? So as a physician, I think that if I have patient, then I will get my income, right? That's what you think. But you don't think before that patient gets to your office, there are so many steps that Allah has made it easy for me that at the end led me to be able to get that income from that patient. And the same thing applies to every career, every dollar we are getting. There are so many steps behind the scene that's all in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do not be preoccupied with what you are doing, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has arranged so many things for you to get what Allah has decreed for you as your sustenance. Yani to the patient to come to me to my office, there are so many steps. First, the patient needs to get sick. The second is the patient that wants to come to see me. Third is the patient wants to be able to drive or to come from his office to the clinic. And fourth is to make me able to come to the clinic. And five, to be able to talk to him and understand his diagnosis and be able to treat him. All these steps, I have no control. Do I have control on the sickness of that patient? Do I have control on that patient to come to my office? Do I have the control of myself coming to that office? Do I have the control to know what this patient has? Do I have control to provide him with the right treatment? All of this is in the hand of who? Of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything, every career, every dollar, ibadallah, wallahi, every dollar we get, it's a process that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. So do not be preoccupied by the end step, by the end process. Yes?
2 points there to connect to this. Let us not forget what Qarun said, لَقَدْ أُوتِيتُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ مِّنْ عِنْدِي. That's very important. There is nothing from you, you do. That's number one. Number two, العلماء said, ارضى بما قسم الله لك تكون أغنى الناس. لأن ربنا سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن قال ولا تتمنوا ما فضل الله بعضكم على بعض. Don't look for other people's sustenance, look for what you get and be happy with that. You will be very rich.
So what he said, Mahmoud, is that if you believe that Allah is the one who provides, the fruit or the result of that belief is that you will be rich in what? You will be rich in what? If you believe that Allah is in that. So now we believe that Allah is the provider, Allah is the sustainer, Allah is the one who provided for us. What's the result of that? That feeling is going to translate into something in my heart. Rida. Rida means to be satisfied with what Allah has given you. You take care of the means, you go up, you wake up early, you go to work, you come back, but you don't get anxious and depressed and sad and stressed and overwhelmed and annoyed if your income is fluctuating up and down. Because Allah has given you what you need. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the best for you. Yani some people, the best for them is to be what? For some people, the best of them to be rich. And for some people, the best of them for them to be poor. Imagine this. Imagine that kind of. شوف how Islam change your mentality. That if you are poor, you are having problem with your income, and you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you trust that maybe that income is the best for you. Will know that this income is the best for me. Why? Because maybe if Allah give me too much, my heart will change. And then I will not be as strong in my iman as I am now. Maybe that will lead me to the haram. Maybe that will be my path to the hellfire if He gives me too much money. So I will know that whatever Allah has given me is the best for me. I take care of the means. I go and work hard, but I do not get the emotional component to it, which is being sad, depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, worried, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given me what's the best for me at this moment. And I don't know if He gives me too much, it might be harmful to me. So the fruit of the iman is you get that peace in your heart. to be happy. Yani the Muslim should not be anxious, should not be depressed, should not be sad, should not be overwhelmed, should not be worried. You find people, especially non-Muslim, most of them are living on medications. Xanax, or Clonopin, or Valium, or Zoloft, or Prozac, or you count them. All this antidepressant, anti-anxiety. The most common prescription is antidepressant. Why? Because people are depressed. Why they are depressed? Because they are far from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ الشَّيْطَانَ فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. Another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ وَمَنْ يُرِدْ أَنْ يُضِلَّهُ يَجْعَلْ صَدْرَهُ ضَيِّقًا حَرَجًا كَأَنَّمَا يَصَّعَّدُ فِي السَّمَاءِ. Yani if you don't have that faith in your heart, prepare yourself that your heart will be miserable. With all the emotions of depression and anxiety, stress, being miserable because you're far from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to know قلوبنا بالإيمان, to give us that peace in our hearts. That was just a connection with the ayat we read this morning. Let's go ahead and read the hadith. The first hadith, yes.
What about the angels?
So the angels, they carry the degree that Allah, the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. So your rizq from the sama, the angels are carrying that provision to you. So all of this are happening with no control from you. You are just controlling the last step, and you're not really controlling the last step, but you think that it's the last step that's led you to the result. But before that, there are so many things, that wind and that ship and that angels carrying and performing the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring that result to you, so you can get your what Allah has assigned for you for that day and that night. So there's no worries. So good. Right. Let's start by reading the first. So I'm going to read inshallah the hadith عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم دخل عليها وعندها امرأة قالت هكذا تذكر من صلاتها قال مه عليكم بما تطيقون فوالله لا يمر الله حتى تمروا وكان أحب الدين إليه ما داوم صاحبه عليه متفق عليه. وكلمة مه كلمة نهي وزجر ومعنى لا يمر الله أي لا يقطع ثوابه عنكم وجزاء أعمالكم ويعاملكم معاملة المال حتى تملوا فتتركوا فينبغي لكم أن تأخذوا ما تطيقون الدوام عليه ليدوم ثوابه لكم وفضله عليكم.
Aisha radiallahu anha reported, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam came in when a woman was sitting beside me. He asked me, who is she? I said, she is the one whose performance of salat prayer has become the talk of the town. Addressing her, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, what is this? You are required to take upon yourselves only what you can carry out easily. By Allah, Allah does not withhold His mercy and forgiveness of you until you neglect and give up good works. Allah likes the deeds best which a worshipper can carry out constantly.
So this chapter talking about moderation in Islam, to avoid the extremes, the two extremes, to be in the middle. And this word we mentioned last week is very flexible word that a lot of people misuse it. And a lot of the kings and the governors and the presidents, especially in Muslim country and Arab country, they tend to use that word moderation in Islam. We don't want to avoid the extremes. We don't want to go to the extremes. We go in the moderation. And this is can be very deceiving, this word. Why is deceiving? Because you are assigning yourself to choose what's the moderation in Islam. But we know in our deen that the moderation in Islam is what? It's based on what? The Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet. So everything Allah said in His book or the Prophet told us is called equal law. Everything Allah said in the book or the Prophet mentioned is moderation. And everything that's not based on the book or the Sunnah will be extremes. So when those presidents and governors and the people of trying to corrupt the Islam, they say we need the moderation, meaning that they want to choose from Deen of Allah what's match our own time and our own culture and our own traditions. And that's deceiving, extremely deceiving. And for example, when they tell you hijab is not moderation. The moderation for the woman is to cover herself up, but doesn't have to wear the hijab. That's the moderation. You know that's wrong. You know that's the extremes. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered for the woman to wear the hijab. So because Allah ordered the hijab, we know that the hijab is the moderation. And anything that's not from that concept will be extreme. Will be extreme. Wallahi, I heard one of the, subhanAllah, I heard one of the shuyukh making fatwa. I'm not going to say which country. It's a Arab country. He said that for the woman, they don't have to wear hijab if she is praying by herself and there is no strangers with her in the room. They said that there is no proof that the woman has to wear hijab if there is no stranger with her when she is praying. If she is at home by herself and no one is a stranger in the house and she wants to pray, there is no reason for her to wear the hijab. And that's the major problem about Allah, because they take whatever they want, desire, and they make fatwa based on their desires. Yes, Ryan. Why? Because he wanted to change the deen of Allah. I don't know what's his intention behind this. Maybe he wants something from the government or the president or the king, so they can give him something because he making that wrong fatwa. Maybe because he wants to be famous, so he make it up with this. Allahu A'lam. Maybe he's ignorant, he doesn't know, but he's a person of knowledge, he cannot be ignorant. So the bottom line is, do not trust those people. If you see someone with a long beard, the longest beard, and the shortest thawb, and the longest rosary, masbaha, that does not mean anything. That does not mean anything. You cannot trust that person based on the appearance. You trust that person based on the knowledge that he has. You see what this person is saying, and if he has the right proof from the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet. So, moderation in Islam means to follow the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet. That's the moderation. That's the line. And anything else is the extreme. That's the first point. The second point is, I wanted you to, Zayd, I want you to listen to the hadith in this chapter. They are all stories. And those stories are from the time of the Prophet. This is a very important point I want to make. Please listen to me, for the youth. We're going to read so many stories, like just the story our brother Sheikh Azadeen read to us today. Those stories are from the companions. And those stories talk about the companions who were so excited because the Prophet ﷺ was with them. And they went to one extreme, which is they want to worship Allah in a way that it's too much, that they cannot themselves handle. So the Prophet ﷺ correct that concept by bringing them to the middle. But the point I wanted to make here is that how the Prophet ﷺ changed the heart of those companions, that the only thing they want is to worship Allah. They changed their life into one goal, one mission, to worship Allah. And because of that change, they went to the extreme. And they ignored some of the goals they have to accomplish in this dunya. So the Prophet ﷺ brought them back to the middle. So the question I have for the youth, how did the Prophet ﷺ change the hearts of those people around him that they went to the extreme? Like this woman, she came to Aisha and everyone is talking about her prayers. It must be that she was praying day and night. She was praying almost non-stop. The Prophet corrected the concept. But before we talk about the Prophet correcting the concept, how did the Prophet ﷺ change the heart of this woman that the only thing she wants is to make that prayer? And you will hear that meaning in every hadith today, how the Sahaba, the Prophet, changed the heart of that Sahabi, so he doesn't want anything from this dunya except to worship Allah 24/7. And the Prophet ﷺ brought them back. But how did he change their hearts? How can the Prophet, yani, I'll give you an example. We listen to a reminder. All of us, we go to a sheikh and we listen to a reminder. How much do we change from this class or from this reminder? 1%, 2%, 0%, maximum maybe 5-10% we change from a reminder. But how the Prophet ﷺ changed the heart of those people around him 180 degrees. They used to live in ignorance, and they used to kill each other, and they used to kill their daughters, put them bury them, and they are alive. They used to drink alcohol, they used to commit haram day and night, dealing with riba, every single possible haram. How did he take them from that darkness into the other extreme, in which all what they want is to worship Allah? That change. How did the Prophet make that change? Huh? Trust. Jad, what do you think? So they saw his manners and his kindness. Well, that's a great thing. What else? What kind of type of teaching he told them about? Yes. Amazing. And what else? Hadith. What else?
وادعوا إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة.
Now, but how did he change it in their hearts? What? By doing it, but what kind of teaching he told them? And that's very important, so we can teach our kids the same. He told them about what he put in their hearts, حب الله والآخرة والزهد في الدنيا. What he teach them is to have that pure love to Allah and to be ready for the day of the judgment, and to love and to miss and look forward for their rewards in the Jannah. At the same time, he told them, do not be distracted by this dunya. To realize what this dunya, what's the true meaning of this dunya. To have that understanding that this dunya is just time. We are here to prepare ourselves for the akhirah. To connect their hearts with the akhirah and to disconnect their heart with the dunya. That's how we change their hearts. And that's why you see in so many stories of those companions that they reach a point where they are neglecting 100% the dunya. So the Prophet ﷺ said, no, do not neglect all the dunya, but your heart keep it attached to the akhirah. You will find stories of the companions, they decided not to have any relationship with women. They decided to fast every day. They decided to stand up all qiyam, all day. But that change in the heart of the companions came because they loved the akhirah and they loved Allah, and they are looking forward to that day when they meet Allah and to get to enjoy what Allah has prepared for them, and they did not attach themselves to the dunya. Because of that change in their heart, they went to the extreme. The Prophet ﷺ told them, you are not angels. You are not required to worship Allah 24/7. But enjoying some of this dunya, your hearts keep it attached to the akhirah. So when the Prophet ﷺ went to Aisha and he saw this woman praying day and night, he said, do not go to the extreme. Because Allah knows that once you go to the extreme, you're gonna get tired, and you're gonna get bored, and you're gonna slowly slow down. And Allah does not like to see you slowing down when it comes to your relationship with Him. He likes you to maintain or to increase that relation, but do not slow down, go down, regress in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, Allah, the most beloved act, worship that we can do to Allah that He likes is to be persistent. Even though we are doing small things, to be persistent. So Allah and the Prophet are telling us that Allah knows the psychology of ourselves. And He knows that when we get overburdened by our ibadah, we can slow down, we can regress. Allah does not like that. So try to choose what you can do and maintain what you are doing in your relationship with Allah. So we're gonna go over some of these stories very quick. We have 10 minutes left. But I want you to focus on those 2 points. The first one, how the companion went from one extreme, living in that complete darkness, into the extreme of worshipping Allah 24/7. and how the Prophet fixed that and brought them back to the middle. Let's look at the next hadith. يلا. Anybody can Arabic? Let's speak Arabic very quick. So عن أنس رضي الله عنه قال جاء ثلاثة رهط إلى بيوت أزواج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يسألون عن عبادة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلما أخبروا كأنهم تقالوها وقالوا أين نحن من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قد غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه وما تأخر قال أحدهم أما أنا فأصلي الليل أبدا وقال الآخر وأنا أصوم الدهر ولا أفطر وقال الآخر وأنا أعتزل النساء فلا أتزوج أبدا فجاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إليهم فقال أنتم الذين قلتم كذا وكذا أما والله إني لأخشاكم لله وأتقاكم له لكني أصوم وأفطر وأصلي وأرقد وأتزوج النساء فمن رغب عن سنتي فليس مني متفق عليه يلا
Anas radiallahu anhu reported, 3 men came to the houses of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ to inquire about the worship of the Prophet ﷺ. When they were informed, they considered their worship insignificant and said, where are we in comparison with the Prophet ﷺ? Allah has forgiven his past sins and future sins. One of them said, as for me, I shall offer salat all night long. Another said, I shall observe Psalm continuously and shall not break it. Another said, I shall abstain from women and shall never marry. The Prophet ﷺ came to them and said, are you the people who said such and such things? By Allah, I fear Allah more than you do. And I am not obedient and I am most obedient and dutiful among you to him. But I still observe and fast and break it, perform salah and sleep at night and take wives. So whoever turns away from my sunnah does not belong to me.
So here again, the same story. The 3 people came to the Prophet ﷺ and they asked about his ibadat. And when they were told about the ibadah of the Prophet, they said, but he's the Prophet and Allah has forgiven him all his sins. We cannot compare us to him. So we have to do more, right? Because he is special in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the most beloved one to the Prophet, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot be like him. So we have to do more, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from us. So the Prophet ﷺ will fast and break his fast. We are going to fast all day, all time. The Prophet ﷺ will sleep and wake up in the middle of the night. We can stay up all night. The Prophet ﷺ marry a woman. We are not going to marry a woman. We can do more than the Prophet because the Prophet is higher, has a higher rank, and we need to do more so we can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from us. When the Prophet ﷺ that extreme, they went to that extreme. The Prophet ﷺ got angry. Why did he get angry, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Yes, I know.
Because they have to be consistent.
They have to be consistent, and because they thought that they're going to be doing more than what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was doing. They said that, oh, the Prophet is better than us, we're going to have to do more to catch up with him. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam got angry because he said, I am the person or the man with the most taqwa of you. And I have the most fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But despite the fact that I have the most taqwa and most fear, I break my fast and I fast. I sleep and I wake up and do qiyam. And I marry the woman. And whoever chose not to follow my sunnah, he's not from my ummah, which is a major warning. Huh? Yes. Yes. Give me a second. So, what do we learn from this hadith? What do we learn from this hadith when he said, whoever will not follow my sunnah is not from my ummah? They rhyme, huh?
To do the sunnah.
To do the sunnah. How do I do the sunnah? When I want to worship Allah, I have to do the sunnah of the Prophet. How would I know the sunnah of the Prophet?
Hadith.
By getting knowledge. So, one of the important things about Allah we need to do is that you cannot worship your Allah based on your desires. It has to be based on knowledge. And you cannot come and say, you know what, that sounds really good to me. I'm going to worship Allah by doing this. That shows how important to get that knowledge. to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, like if you are, let's say that some of the Muslims, they do gathering and they do remembering of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in loud voice. I'm not going to mention who. I guess you know who are those people. And they start shaking their head and shaking their body, and they start remembering Allah. And even they don't remember the name of Allah, they say, who? Huh? No, that's shirk. If you're calling on Ali and saying that's shirk. But those are Muslim, but they want to get closer to Allah. So how do we get closer to Allah? Let's do those gathering. What do we do in the gathering? We sit all together. We have one, the most famous, the most taqwa, the most righteous man we think in the middle, and then we go spin around that person after we kiss his hands and glorify him. We go around him, and while we are going around him, we're catching our hands and we're shaking our head and we're saying Hayy or saying who or coming up with those names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they start kind of going into back and forth, and there might be some music in the background, and some of them might reach the point where he just fall down or pass out, and Allah Akbar, and they think their intention is correct. Their intention, they want to worship Allah, but what they are missing,
The action, the knowledge.
the knowledge. Did the Prophet ﷺ, have you ever heard of anything like that to the Prophet ﷺ that he has done in his life? No. So how can you get to something to worship Allah based on your desires? And there are so many examples of those. So many examples. I'm not going to mention who they belong to, but the point is, when you want to worship Allah, you need to have knowledge. I know a brother who, every time he hears that there is a type of ibadah, he will call his sheikh and he asks, is this ibadah sunnah? Do we have a proof of this ibadah so I can perform it? Or it's an innovation? Imagine you are asking your sheikh for every ibadah you hear, is that sunnah or not? Even though his intention is pure to get closer to Allah, but he wants to get the knowledge before he performs this ibadah. Because otherwise he has created innovation in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and those people think that the same concept, celebration of the birthday of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the same thing about they do Thursday night, they do gathering and they say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, they sit down and they do this Allahumma salli ala Muhammad in loud voice 1,000 times or 100 times or whatever it is. All of this are not, there's no proof, there's no knowledge that support this. So you have to have the knowledge before you are getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's go to the next hadith. عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال هلك المتنطعون قال ثلاثا المتنطعون هم المشددون في غير موضع الشدة.
Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu reported, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, ruined are those who insist on hardship in matters of the faith. He repeated this 3 times.
That's another warning from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you go to the extreme, you are متنطعون, متشددون. And those are the people who went to the extreme. And Allah, the Prophet said, halaka, mean they will be losers. They will be doomed, ruined. They will be ruined because you go to the extreme. But our Islam is based on knowledge, not desires. Based on moderation of what Allah and the Prophet told us, not to the extremes. The next hadith, عن أبي رضي الله عنه قال إن الدين يسر ولن يشاهد الدين إلا غلبه فسددوا وقاربوا وأبشروا واستعينوا بالغدوة والروحة وشيء من الدلجة. That's beautiful hadith.
عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه reported the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the religion of Islam is easy, and whoever makes the religion a rigor, it will overpower him. So follow a middle course in worship. If you can't do this, do something near to it and give glad tidings and seek help of Allah. And at morn and at dusk in some part of the night.
Okay. So here the Prophet ﷺ said, and I wanted you to reflect on this hadith and tell me what you understand. The Prophet ﷺ in the last part of the hadith said, استعينوا, seek help. بالغدوة. الغدوة is the early time of the day. بالغدوة. والروحة, which is the last part of the day. وشيء من الدلجة, a dulja during the night. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned 3 different times of the day and the night. Like we say, الغدوة mean that أول النهار, the first part of the نهار. والدلجة والروحة is آخر النهار. والدلجة آخر الليل. What's the point of talking about those time? The Prophet ﷺ said, seek help during those special time of the day and the night. We finish with this. What's the Prophet ﷺ is telling us? Huh?
I never understood it.
You didn't understand the question?
No, that hadith I never understood it.
Time. Inshallah, we'll make it. We'll explain it. So the Prophet ﷺ said, seek help in your ibadah during the beginning of the day, the last part of the day, or in the last part of the night. What he's telling us?
Allah accepts your du'as,
It doesn't have to be dua, your ibadah
and therefore He will
during those times.
Because it's the hardest times of the day that people do like that.
Believe it or not, it's the opposite. Let me read what the Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah explained about this hadith, and then inshallah we will finish. He said, ومعناه استعينوا على طاعة الله عز وجل بالأعمال في وقت نشاطكم وفراغ قلوبكم بحيث تتلذذون بالعبادة ولا تسأمون وتبلغون مقصودكم كما أن المسافر الحاضر يسير في هذه الأوقات ويستريح هو ودابته في غيرها فيصل المقصود بغير تعب والله أعلم. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah said, you have to choose the time for you during the day and the night in which you have that energy and in which you have that free time and in which your heart is not preoccupied with the people around you or the surrounding that you have. So you enjoy that ibadah. That ibadah will not be a hardship, will not be a stress, will not be a difficult thing on you. Because like if you are working and you are busy and doing all these things and you force yourself in doing this ibadah, you might get annoyed, you might get stressed, might be hard on you. But the Prophet ﷺ choosing is everyone has his own time during the day and the night in which he will be free, that he can focus, he can concentrate. Try to choose the time of your day and night that you enjoy that ibadah, and the ibadah will be easy for you. Some of us will have that time in the morning. Is a morning person. He likes to wake up in the morning and he can enjoy, he can focus, he can concentrate. And at the end of the day, he's miserable, he's tired, he just wants to sleep. So choose that time based on your own schedule. Some people are the opposite. They wake up and they are miserable. They cannot often open their mouth. And at the night time, they are more energetic, they are happier, they are more relaxed. Find out what time of the day and night that match your schedule and be sure you do that ibadah during that time. So because the point of the ibadah is to connect with Allah, to enjoy, and I emphasize this point, to enjoy that ibadah. And if you are doing it in a time when you are so busy and preoccupied, you are not going to get to enjoy that ibadah. Yes, Abdullah.
What if somebody's schedule is the opposite?
Whatever you can. If your schedule is opposite, work around your schedule. But do not stress yourself. If you are doing something so you have to do it, do not stress yourself with extra ibadat that can make you angry and upset and overwhelmed.
So basically, that word is ta'inu, help yourself, means that
Seek the time.
that time that you're gonna seek is gonna make it easy for you.
Yes.
It's gonna help you. Is that what it is? It's ta'inu.
Ista'inu means that find the time that you're going to do this ibadah and enjoy it. You have the, and some people, they love doing qiyam in the during the third of the night. That's their time. That their enjoyment, that their happiness. To wake up in the last third of the night when everyone is asleep, snoring, and he feels like he can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people I love this. Some people, they like to stay up. So maybe you can do the qiyam before you go to bed. Because that's the time you are energetic, that's the time you are relaxed, that's the time you can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning of the night. Yes.
SubhanAllah,
in even the law time, it's after the Zawal. Allah doesn't want you to stand in the heat.
نعم so it's سبحان الله هلك المتنطع طيب إن شاء الله we'll finish with this. So remember عباد الله, the point of this hadith is to find the time of the day and the night in which you connect, you enjoy your ibadah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you will get that motivation to continue to build that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to not regress and to not go back. So it wasn't too bad, was it? Wasn't too bad to read the hadith. No, was it good?
Yeah.
Enjoy it. You can do it next week, inshallah. طيب ان شاء الله فتح الله عليك. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.